Hey there, I decided to make a video touring my SMP because, well, maybe you're interested in joining, maybe you're just curious of what it looks like, but this is mainly to help people who are in different time zones or people that are going to join the realm. It's going to showcase all the different builds in the realm, and I'm going to talk about it, and it's going to be as if you were really here. Now, right now, we're at the end of May, and normally you would be seeing me in this skin due to the stuff in the lore. Most of the time, however, you'd be seeing me in the skin that you saw earlier. Now, let's get on to the actual tour. Now, what I would normally tell you if you were really here is that we're in the financial district near spawn. There are tons of shops open here, and you can open up your own shop if you really wish to. Now, the shop that I'm currently in is Uranium's shop. He sells wool, regen pots, strength pots, a bunch of different things, a lot of different building materials for people. This is honestly one of my favorite shops to buy from. However, this is more of a personal opinion thing, and there's a ton of other shops that you can buy from if you choose to do so. People sell tons of stuff here from stone, andesite, granite, a ton of blocks for builders. They sell so many things. Another thing to note is that the area that we're in currently is called Mainland. Mainland spans from the nearby oceans to the nearby mountains. You'll see a map of it later, and I might even put one up on screen if I decide to do that. Once you're invited to the realm, if you're looking to buy something, you can always ask in the private Discord, and you can ask in the markets channel for anything that you're looking for. Another shop I would like to recommend and draw your attention to is Stirk's Wood Shop. It's owned by the Rosnar Empire because that's where Stirk rules over, and they sell wood by the stacks, all different types of wood, and even leaves. They also sell other things like building materials, andesite, stone, granite, all those different types of things. Again, there are many different shops you can buy from. If you continue to follow the grass pathway, you'll come across a burned down village. This village was burned down during the early ages of the SMP, and we haven't rebuilt it. If you continue walking down the grass pathway, you'll find yourself in central Mainland eventually. But I have a couple more things to tell you before we get there. Around about this time is when I would ask you, hey, how much of our rules did you actually read? And around this time, you would probably tell me, oh, half, but I don't remember it well, or something along the lines of that. And that's when I would tell you, oh, well, most of our rules are pretty self-explanatory, don't kill people without reason, don't grieve without reason, etc., etc. But that's also when I would tell you that we have a few iffy rules, some that you aren't probably well aware of, and some that maybe you don't know that much about. The first one would probably be that we do allow duplication and X-ray. However, we don't allow any other sort of hacks. I just don't really care because we're mainly a lore and building realm, so it doesn't really matter if you duplicate a ton. People on the server may judge you if you do, but you're not going to get in trouble for it. Okay, now we are in central Mainland. This is actually like the city area where everybody lives. This is the map I was talking about earlier. There's a ton of different buildings here, and most people choose to put their starter house here. You can build anywhere within Mainland's borders without having to ask, as long as it's not obstructing anything like pathways, roads, buildings, etc. And as long as it's not too close to other buildings, we just have to be able to walk, and yeah. Now, I'm not going to draw your attention to many of the builds in Mainland. However, I am going to talk about my Amethyst Observatory. This is frankly my favorite build in the entire SMP and probably in Mainland. I just think it looks so nice, and I thought I'd talk about it a little bit more. The next building we're going to talk about is definitely the community center that Herb built recently. He did it for free, just as a nice charitable thing. We really thank him for that, honestly. It looks really nice, and Herb's actually a great builder. It's mainly for new players, like, hopefully yourself if you're watching this video. There's a furnace, like, kitchen area in it. There's a hangout zone. There's beds, because sometimes this realm does go on normal mode. There's also a link to the community chest that we recently added downstairs. That is courtesy of Mainland Committee. It's a bunch of chests that we sorted out that you can take blocks from. They're free to use, open to the community. Now, I did just mention Mainland Committee, which I might make another video about, but basically what Mainland Committee is it's a group of people that volunteer to do things for Mainland. They get funding from taxes that are taxed on civilization, and they use that money to make the realm look better, mainly around the Mainland area, the spawn area. They have tons of different roles and jobs that you can participate in. I would talk to Stirk if you're interested in that. Now, there also are a ton of community chests out here that you can take from and you can leave from. These aren't organized at all. We don't have somebody go through and organize them. These usually get transferred into that room where everything is organized. You can leave what you want here and you can take what you want. Now, we're going to head into the Nether soon, and I'm going to talk about the Nether Highway, but I want to urge you to please explore Mainland a little bit. There are so many wonderful things here that I'm not going to show you today, unfortunately, because we don't have time, but there's just so many nice buildings here that I urge you to look at in your own time. Next, we head into the Nether Highway area, which connects the Mainland to all of the other major civilizations and even the smaller cities. Down this tunnel, we have 3 different smaller civilizations. One of them I don't really know how to say the name of, but it was originally Olympus Heights. It's a Greek mythology-themed civilization that's ruled over by Tempest. The other one is Riften, which is ruled over by Mr. Slimes. It doesn't really particularly stay to a certain theme. It's a little odd. You'd have to go see it yourself. There is an iron farm over there, which is really helpful, though. Enchanted Springs is having some difficulties with who owns it now because the person that created it just got banned. I want to take this time to remind you that we are a fully survival realm, meaning that our cheats are off, meaning that you can earn achievements, you can't keep inventory on, and you can't have it. There's certain things we can't have, like we can't have people go into creative. Once you get up here in the Nether Highway, you can see all these different signs pointing to all these different civilizations. We will go to the Netherlands, Lushland, Witch's Forest, and Cobblestone Isles, which are all major civilizations. Both Birch Valley and Rosnar are minor civilizations, and behind me, which you can't really see, are the other signs pointing back to the civilizations we were at. First, we are going to head to the Netherlands, which is another themed civilization ruled over by Crash. It is to the right. If you've watched some of my other YouTube videos, specifically my lore YouTube videos, you'd know that Crash is heavily involved in the main storyline. It's all centered around her lore character that she has, Nyx. If you want to get involved in that, you would have to talk to Crash and talk to me about that. If you want to get involved in lore in general, you have to talk to me and get that confirmed by me. We have more information on our Discord server about that, which is on my link tree. Speaking of Discord and social media and websites, if you plan on posting, you can post on any sort of different websites. You have anything, it doesn't really matter. As long as it's lore accurate, you make sure if you don't know about it, you get it checked by me, and make sure the people in the video are okay with you posting it. If you plan on joining our SMP, make sure that you join our Discord server and check out all of our rules. They're all linked on my link tree, and there's a bunch of information there. Now, normally this is when I would tell you caution coming out of the portal, because there is lava on the other side. Now, I want you to remember that we did come through a portal. We are in the overworld, which is going to mess with you when you see the area. These hallways were built and designed by me. A lot of the things in the Netherlands are. However, all of the training that you're going to see is done by Crash. On your left, you're going to see a treasure room that's rather empty. It's pretty much only filled with gold. This is when I'm going to urge you to please not steal on my server. I will catch you. We will find you. It's usually what new players get kicked for. That and killing other people. Don't steal, guys. Don't be stupid. Now, if I didn't mention this before, Crash rules over this area, and she also controls the main lore storyline. She is one of my admins. So if you want to build over here, you have to talk to her. If you want to build in any of the major civilizations, you have to talk to the person that owns them. The only exception is Mainland. Now, as I mentioned before, we are in the overworld. It's just retextured to look like the Nether. We're actually in a lush cave. It's just been changed over the years. Now, during this part of the tour, typically, if you were actually with me, I'd lead you to the castle and I'd show you around. That's what we're gonna do. I may have shown you other different locations in the Netherlands, depending on what tour we are on and whatever, but I'll showcase those near the end of the Netherlands portion, and you'll get to see some of those. I'm not really gonna show you where they are, but I'll show them in clips and stuff. Fun fact, I built this castle a couple of years ago, and I actually don't love it a ton. It used to actually be completely black stone around it. I also don't really like it because of how blocky it is. If I were to go back, I'd change those things. I did change, like, the outside and stuff. I think this is probably my top 3 for my favorite builds on this realm. However, I could have definitely improved it, and if I were to go back and build it today, I would definitely improve it. Now, some of you who watch our lore videos probably recognize this room. This is the room that we held the banquet in. We usually host parties here and stuff, and we invite people on the realm to come as guests. It's usually really fun, and this is where I died in the lore recently. It's definitely my favorite room in the whole castle. If you come over here to the left, you'll enter the kitchen. On the right is a storage room, which you'll see later. This is the kitchen area, which I think is honestly my second favorite room in this whole castle. I think it's really underappreciated, and I love the interior decor in here. There's also some food in the barrels typically here, and this realm sometimes does go on hard mode or normal mode. I would recommend taking some if you're following along with the tour. Another fun fact about this castle is that it was built in kind of a weird way. We built it from the inside out. We started with the dining room and the kitchen, and then went all the way out. So if you ever look in it, it's funny because I think the dining room's probably the best room, and then progressively it gets like worse as it goes out. Not by much, but I think it does. Another thing about this castle is that this is a storage room that Crash designed. If you actually look at the castle from a builder's perspective, there's a lot of empty space that I didn't really utilize, which is another thing that I'd fix about this castle if I ever went back and improved it. This is when I urge you for the second time to not steal. The area that you're standing upon was an enchantment table before somebody stole from it. Please don't steal, guys. The money comes out of my pocket or the tax fund, and it's just really annoying and you'll get banned for it. So please don't steal, guys. You'd think this would be common sense, but apparently not. There's plenty of other rooms when you first enter the castle. You could turn left or right, and on the inside, there's 2 different rooms. There's a pool table in one of them, and there's a guest bedroom. Again, this is kind of just empty space that we decided to fill, but I think they're cool rooms nonetheless, and you can always look at them. We'll probably change them around eventually, but this is what they are for now. If you ever ask Queen K what his favorite rooms in the castle are, he'll tell you the aquariums on either side of the dining room area, because he built one of them. He was annoying me, and I wanted him to go away, and I gave him something really easy to do, so he contributed to something. If you come up the stairs here, either on the left or the right, you'll be on the upper floor. This is where the bedroom area is, as well as the brewing stand area, which I'll show you in a minute. This is also where Crash keeps a bunch of collectible stuff, and a bunch of books, and all that sort of stuff. If you go through the door, you'll find Crash's bedroom, which I think both of us decorated. I think both of us did. Here is her dog as well. Its name is Cosmo. She has the other one, Cassidy, that you've seen if you've watched the lore videos. If you come through the door on the left, we'll go into the brewing stand area. It's mainly just potions in here. It's a pretty standard brewing area. I mean, there's blaze rods and barrels and all this sort of stuff. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. This room just doesn't get shown around a lot. Now, the next area that we're going to is Cobblestone Isles, but first I want to take the time to remind you that I haven't shown you everything in the Netherlands. There are tons of other structures here that I'm not going to show you exactly where they are, but I am going to show you some clips of them, so here they are. This tunnel made out of these different types of nether logs will lead you up to the cottagelands as well as a storage room. The cottagelands is kind of just another civilization separate from the Netherlands, but there's not much buildings there, honestly. There's not a ton built there, so I usually don't show most people on tours. It's more of a minor civilization connected to the Netherlands. Another fun fact about the Netherlands, or Crash, I guess, is that she loves organizing, and there's tons of different things here. She organizes everything, and it's a fun pastime for her. Now, the cottagelands isn't shown a ton in my videos because there's not a ton up here except the cherry trees, but I think it's nice to note that it's here, and it's a nice area to explore if you have the time. Now, most people aren't going to recognize this room because we didn't stream it or we didn't do a video here. However, a lore event did happen here. Basically, Crash or Nyx set up 3 different books for people to choose from. One was bad, one was good, one was neutral. I kept talking about how the middle one was calling out to me and the middle one happened to be the bad one, and I may have chosen the middle one and it led to my death a couple months later. But that's besides the point. All that matters is that we didn't know what was in the books, and it was a nice lore event to get us back onto lore and doing role-playing and stuff like that. Now, typically, I would mention that there are other builds in the Netherlands, however, I wouldn't actually show you them most of the time. This build was made by Crash. It's up on this little water area thingy. It's actually decent. I mean, the inside's a little chaotic if you ever look in it, but I think it's nice to see up from here and the view's nice. This is also when I'm going to remind you to not take lava from the pools by the castle. You'd think that'd be self-explanatory, but apparently some people have been doing that recently. Don't do that, guys. Now, this is normally when I would lead you out of the Netherlands and back into the Nether, and then we'd go to Witch's Forest. However, Witch's Forest is far away, and I would advise getting a boat in the Nether and definitely a minecart. Those are the 2 things that you should have on you in the Nether at all times. Witch's Forest is currently closed, so I wouldn't show you on an actual tour. However, I am going to show you on this. We'll just follow this tunnel using a minecart, and we'll go all the way down. Please don't break the railings on the minecart track. It's going to take you a really long time, especially if you're walking by foot, but eventually you'll hit the Witch's Forest portal. Witch's Forest is currently ruled over by Liz. If you need any late game gear, like elytra, shulker boxes, armor trims, I would talk to Liz about that. You'd have to ask her before going because it's closed right now. However, it's a good idea to ask her. Now, if you don't know anything about Witch's Forest, all of Witch's Forest is mushroom themed. It's got this fairy core sort of vibe going on, and again, it's ruled over by Liz, who was one of our former moderators. The area isn't as active as it used to be, however, there are some pretty cool builds over here, and some people still do live over here. There's also another section of Witch's Forest that you'll see later that's kind of cherry blossom themed, kind of like the cottagelands, however, there's actual buildings over there. Most of the houses over here are mushrooms, as mentioned before. There also used to be a villager, trading thing open to anybody. There's one at Lushland still, however, there used to be one over here, but it's gotten shut down and moved. Most of the buildings here, while being gorgeous, were built using Pinterest or tutorials, which is fine if you want to build your civilization like that. However, I kind of have to say that as a disclaimer that it was built using tutorials and it's not an original design. The little light blue mushroom capped house in the back is Spooky's house. He's really cool if you've ever met him. I would definitely recommend if you join this realm to talk to him. He's really nice and he's a great person, honestly. The house in the back that you see over here is Liz's house. It's been redone multiple times and changed over the past. Liz has her animals inside and a couple storage things up top, of course. I mean, typical things you'd have in a house. Now, if we go back over to the portal area, just follow the mud brick path, we'll go over to that cherry blossom area I was talking about earlier, as well as a mob farm that happens to be over here. You just have to cross over this river area, and you can see all the stuff in the distance. I honestly just wish there's a bridge here, but there's not yet. Now, in the back here, you'll see Herb's house, which I'll showcase more of later. Herb does some trees stuff. It's really cool. He has his own business where he makes trees and stuff like that, and he has this cool building style. He builds on a particular thing, and he made the community house that you probably saw earlier. I think I showed you guys. It's just really cool, and he's a great person. I recommend talking to him if you ever see him online. But enough about that. We're over by the cherry blossom themed stuff. There's a little enchantment table over here. In the back, there's a little storage house. I think they look cool, but again, built off tutorials and images and reference images and stuff like that. And I have to say that because they're not original builds. So credit to whoever made these originally. Over here's the mob farm that I was talking about. This is a great farm to use when the realm does go on hard mode or normal mode. I mean, it's just really efficient and actually works. There's some other houses here, but that's pretty much all I have to show you for the cherry blossom area. We're going to head over to Herb's area soon, and you're going to see it, and it's going to be super cool, and let's just go over there. Over here is Herb's little area. I think it's super cool, and I'm going to show you guys. His house looks amazing, and the inside's good, and the ceiling's nice. It's just a different building style that I really haven't seen a ton of. He uses moss for the roofing, and there's just so much in this little area. For those of you wondering, Herb is one of our Gen 3 applicants. He's one of our newer players. Not super duper new, but he hasn't been around here for super duper long. If you're wondering how the generations work, we do these application processes every once in a while, and we go... Each gen is a new person, so Gen 1 is like the original applications, and then the further down the line you are, the newer you are. People who don't have a gen tag are usually people before those were a thing, and they're usually veteran players and older people who were here longer. For those of you watching this video, we sometimes also do exclusively Discord application things, so if you're part of our Discord server, you'll get notified and maybe on the server quicker. That's all I have to show you guys for Witch's Forest. I think it's a wonderful area, but it still definitely can improve, like most of our civilizations. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to go to Cobblestone Isles, and the easiest way to do that is if I kill you. So, sorry about that. We're gonna head to Cobblestone Isles next, which is the area that I rule over. So, see you there. Now, normally, if I didn't just kill you, you'd head back to this Nether Highway area, and you'd navigate to the Cobblestone Isles from here. We're going to go to Cobblestone Isles, and then after that, Lush Land, and I'll show you some extra stuff, because this is going to be a shorter tour, because everything in here I'm saying for a reason, so it's easier, and I'm not going to get sidetracked as easy, and blah, 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 blah. Normally, if you were to do this tour in person, it would take 20 to 40 minutes, if you're curious. To go to Cobblestone Isles, you should just follow the signs, or follow the railroad track. Technically, the railroad track goes to Lush Land, however, Cobblestone Isles is on the way, and the portal's right next to it, and you'll see that. By the way, if you're wondering why these stone walls were put up, they're put up by Addie, which I hate them, and they're really annoying, and I should tear them down, but I want to have them around the lava lakes and stuff, so I kept them up. There used to be ones around here, and that's why the pathway looks weird, and it's a whole thing. Which is why I'm going to remind you, as we're approaching Cobblestone Isles, please don't kill the railroads or, like, the ice pathway. If you want to improve the ice highway or the railroads, talk to Sturk about being part of the Mainland Committee and about the nether section of that. This is the Cobblestone Isles portal. We're going to head through here in a second. If it wasn't clear already, I'm the ruler of Cobblestone Isles, and I'm going to show you it. I think it's one of the best civilizations. However, I'm biased because I built the thing, and I'm the founder, but whatever. Cobblestone Isles is a medieval fantasy-styled area. It's ruled over by me. There's specific building rules if you want to build here, and fun fact, it's one of the oldest civilizations on the server. It's actually older than Lively Island. If you ever hear me talk about Lively Island, it's younger than Mainland by a little bit. This civilization is about 3 years old, and it has gone through so many changes over the years. Most of the buildings are built by me, however, some of them are from the original structure. Some of them are built by Supermeep, who's one of the original players on the server. The area that you're in currently is the Agora, which is a Greek word meaning marketplace, or like shops area, whatever you want to say it. It doesn't have anything to do with ancient Greece. It's like the word. I think it's funny. I think it's a silly thing to say. And I think this is one of my favorite areas in Cobblestone Isles. It's a cozy little marketplace area, and I'm going to turn around and you're going to see more of it. It looks amazing, and I love it. It's one of the first things I built when I went back to revamping Cobblestone Isles. This area was created about 3 years ago. It was originally under my control. I was the founder. However, it kind of got abandoned over time, and it got griefed, and it used to look completely different. And then I gave ownership over to Addie, who flattened the entire land with Jackson's help or whatever. And then he kind of left it there after he got banned off the server, because that's what new players do. They create land, and then they leave it there, and then I have to deal with it. So I took back over the area, and I've improved it since then. This is the residential area that we're approaching, and I'm actually not too fond of a lot of these houses. I mean, they look okay, but I'm going to go back and improve them and add definitely a lot more color. Most of these were built off of reference images and stuff because I was getting back into building. I was more of a creative builder than I was a survival builder, and that's kind of where this transition was made. Eventually, I'm going to go back up and fix up all these houses, and a lot of things in Cobblestone Isles are going to be changed again, but they're here for now, and I think they're still nice to look at. I mean, they could be better, though. This area also happens to be under a Tier 3 protection law, like most civilizations. All the civilizations of the day I showed you are. A Tier 3 protection law just basically means if any harm is done to your civilization, the person who did it immediately gets banned if we find out who that is. You can always read up more about it in our rulebook. They also get tax funds and stuff if they want something built, and there's a bunch of other things. There's some perks about it. Again, a lot of the houses here are built by me. However, that house in the back you can kind of see is built by Tempest. And again, I'm going to say that there's specific building rules that you have to abide by to live here and stuff like that. Like one of them is that you can't use a heavy amount of spruce, and there's a bunch of them. You can read up on it on our Discord. I also made the mountains and everything back here in this bigger financial sector that you're going to see. I'm going to improve them eventually. I have some issues with them, and I think I'm going to fix them up in the future. The problem is that the land around here is super flat because, again, Addie and Jackson and blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, before you build something, you don't need to flatten out a ton of land. You can just build on top of the land and then flatten a little bit of it out that you need to, but that's besides the point. Over here is probably one of my favorite builds in the entire realm. It's my church, or I call it a church. It's not technically a church because it doesn't worship Jesus Christ. However, it is important in the lore, and I love it because it's one of my favorite lore buildings. It has to do with the Eye organization. I think it's so pretty, and I built it over last summer, I think. Yeah, sounds about right. If you ever want to read up on the gods and goddesses and my lore and anything about that, then I would come here. There's a bunch of books that you can read and stuff. Just remember to return them. Don't take them, please, because I'd have to rewrite them. There's a few more buildings over here, like we have a little restaurant and we have a bank that I'm approaching up here. A lot of the trees here were built by Sturk and me. Sturk's really good at building trees, and they do that. If you want them to, they also can. They also have that log shop I was talking about earlier, and it's cool. You can buy stuff from them. They're great. They're one of my admins, actually. This is the bank I was talking about. We mainly just built it because we have the tax system now, and we might do some more stuff with that. But other than that, I don't have a ton in Cobblestone Isles to show you. Again, this is when I remind you to explore on your own. All of these civilizations have their own unique aspects, and there's a ton of stuff that I'm not showing you that I'm leaving out on purpose. Please go explore these civilizations. They're beautiful, and they're just going to get better from here. Okay, then we're going to go back through the Nether to Lushland. Again, Lushland's also closed down right now. However, I am going to show you on this because you're not actually here and it's just a YouTube video and blah, 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 blah. You would follow this railroad track all the way to Lushland. This is why I advise having a minecart on you, because of the fact that the trip is, it's not super long, but there's a lot of stairs you got to go up, and it's easy if you just have a minecart on you. When you hit this point, you just turn right to Lushland, like the sign says, and again, follow the railroad up the stairs and blah, 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 blah. Eventually, you'll reach there. Lushland is also one of the older major civilizations. It was made after the 1.17 update when copper was added. Lushland is known for its copper and azalea leaves and all that sort of stuff that came with that update. It's known for its lush caves. There's some community chests over here if you're interested in taking some stuff, but there's not much in there. Lushland was originally founded by Gizmo. However, Toaster would argue that it was him. I argue otherwise. However, there's been a great war fought over this land, and there's been a bunch of history around this, and it's a great civilization. There's so much history here, and currently this area is ruled over by Toaster. It recently was co-owned by Jackson and Toaster, however, Jackson voluntarily left the realm recently. This area is supposed to have more of a steampunk, sort of industrial style to it, however, a lot of its steampunk elements were added because Jackson ended up leaving the server. A lot of the builds here aren't finished, or they're ruined because nobody's been taking care of them at all. The nicest thing about Lushland is that they have a free villager trading hall that you can enter. It used to be called EM+, however, I think Toaster's trying to change the name or whatever. It's really nice because the villagers are free and you can use them, however, the prices are a little high, so it's honestly just easier to make your own villager supply. This is the building that they're kept in. Honestly, I'd just use them as the last resort. The villagers aren't super duper good, however, they're open to the public, so if you really are desperate for a book, it might be a good idea to try this one. I mean, I just find it really sad. I think this area has a lot of potential, and there's so much that was going to be done here. We were planning on building trains, robots, a ton of stuff, these giant buildings. However, it didn't get finished, unfortunately, and it's just sad. That's pretty much all I have to show you of Lushland, though. I still think it's a really nice area because all the mountains are custom made, and there's trees. It's just kind of, it's just sad what happened to it and how it's just kind of gone to waste over time. Now, normally this is when I would take you back to Mainland or Spawn, and I would tell you to go get iron armor, go get full diamond armor on your first day. Start thinking about where you might want to be in the lore, start thinking about where you want to live, probably build your starter house somewhere in Mainland, etc., etc., etc. I would tell you something along the lines of that. However, since we aren't on like an actual tour thing, I can actually show you a bit of like the smaller civilizations, and I can show you a bit more. So, let's go. If you're wondering how fast things change on this realm, by the way, I'm probably going to have to do another one of these tour videos, but if you're wondering, we started making this video at the end of May, and now it's the 24th of June, I think? I'm not sure exactly. However, all of the markets area has completely changed. There's a ton of new buildings, and it's completely different. All those different paths that I was walking across that were completely empty now have a bunch of shops next to them. I think it's really cool to see, because this realm just keeps going with or without its players that got banned or kicked or whatever. Alright, we're nearing the end of the video, but I implore you to please go and explore, look at the new things. There's so many things on this realm, and it can definitely shape your experience. There are so many different builds you can see that I haven't shown you in this video today. Just go and explore. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you later. That's going to be this end of the video. Follow me on Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, etc. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, bye now.